Huh. What's happened to the Titans? Where did Superman's underoos go? Rob Liefeld escaped from artist jail again?
Comics are weird!
As you may have heard, and as we've talked about here recently, DC Comics is in the midst of giving their entire universe worth of books a reboot, or relaunch, or something. Basically, damn near every book is either getting cancelled or restarted with a new first issue, which amounts to 52 new ongoing books hitting within the coming weeks. Now, the vast majority of books haven't hit yet, and many supposedly significant story details have yet to be revealed, but the apparent big idea here was to win new readers by getting the DC heroes back to a more iconic status quo, no longer burdened by the labyrinthine DC Universe continuity. Honestly, that's not such a bad idea. Yeah, longtime fans will be upset about it, and I'm not entirely sure that the continuity itself is that widespread of a deal-breaker. We'll come back to that in a minute. But the tendency of continuity to make a story incomprehensible after a while definitely is. So starting over, yeah, that could work. Except that's not exactly what they're doing. See, while the quote-unquote new DC universe that's spinning out of the time-rewriting events of the miniseries Flashpoint apparently does take place in a revamped timeline where all the costume crime fighters, aliens, goddesses, and whatever else have only been running around for 5 years, a whole bunch of the previous few decades of continuity apparently still happened. Just, faster, because it's only been like 5 years. As such, the new runs of Justice League and Action Comics are starting off 5 years in the past to explain where everything came from. Yeah, so not so much out with the convoluted old continuity in with a new beginning, as it is out with the convoluted old continuity in with a convoluted new continuity that's going to take some explaining. Why bother rebooting if you're just going to do a backstory explanation book anyway, and thus simply could have done the new #1s and then explained the original backstories the same way? Well, probably because doing that doesn't get you the huge burst of publicity that the words line-wide reboot does. And to be fair, that part seems to be working out. Sales and pre-orders are really, really high. Huh, how about that? Products sell better if you advertise them. Yeah, see folks, while I'll admit up front that the weirdness that sometimes results from comic book continuity can be a barrier, I've never fully agreed with the idea that continuity itself is the big thing keeping new readers out of comics, especially now that we're in the information age. Every time I do a comics episode, I get a whole bunch of people asking the same question. I want to get into comics, but where do I start? Well, as it's suddenly all the more topical, let me answer that for everyone once and for all.
Start wherever you want. It doesn't really matter.
Seriously, you want to get into DC, Marvel, whoever, it's never been easier to do. Go find a comic that looks good to you, start reading it. If and when you come to something that confuses you or seems to be referencing an earlier event you're not familiar with and you're interested enough to want to know what it means, go to that magical every shred of accumulated human knowledge ever at your fingertips machine that you're currently using to watch this show and look it up. It won't take long. Comic book continuity is one of the most meticulously maintained infostratas on the entire web. And if you're not interested enough to want to know what it means, well, chances are it won't get more interesting once you know, so you can probably stop reading. Simple as that. Comic books in America do not have some big, doom-bringing apocalyptic continuity problem. What they have is a marketing problem. I mean, think about it. People get into serialized storytelling in the middle all the time. Every day, dozens of people buy a book that looks nifty, find out it's part of a series, and consider picking up the rest of them. Every day, thousands of people tune into a TV show for the first time near the middle or even end of its overarching story. Do you think everyone who's into Doctor Who or Lost or Mad Men or whatever started watching it with the first episode? No! Every other continuity and/or mythology-driven narrative medium in popular fiction draws new readers and viewers just fine without constantly hitting the reset button and pissing off the fans they already had. How do they do this? Because new readers and viewers and other potential fans hear about them and can easily find them. TV, movies, etc. gets beamed right into your house. DVDs, books, etc. are sold in all kinds of different stores, and everything is advertised everywhere. Comic books, on the other hand, are almost never advertised except in other comic books. And you can't just pick them up at the checkout line at the drugstore anymore. You gotta go to a special comic-centric store, which also doesn't advertise and is generally not set up to be curious new reader friendly. You don't need to reboot to get more people reading comic books. You need to tell them why they should consider reading comic books, and then put comic books where they can buy them. Incidentally, that second part is the one thing I'd say DC is getting totally right on this whole New 52 thing. The new books are all getting released for digital download at the same time as the regular hard copies. Now that's actual progress. Alright, I'm running short on time here, so I'll close out with this little reality check. Streamlined reboots in comics almost never, ever stay streamlined. If you do your job right, the new readers will become old readers sooner than later, and as old readers, they're going to end up reading or just hearing about all the stuff that came before, and they're going to find out about some character or prop device that doesn't exist anymore but sounds really cool to them, and they'll start wanting it to come back, and then it will start coming back, and then everyone will be complaining about how confusing it seems again, and we'll all be back here doing this same dance 5 years from now. I'm Bob, and that's the big picture.